What's going on? A to Z Sports, Sam Phelan here with you, recapping a little bit of Super Bowl 59. The Philadelphia Eagles shocked the world in many ways with an upset blowout victory over the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, was it the biggest upset we've ever seen in the Super Bowl? No, but I do believe the fashion in which the Eagles looked dominant caught a lot of people off guard on Sunday night. I'm here to talk about the game, but really focus in on the quarterback play because Jalen Hurts is now a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. To me, Hurts winning Super Bowl MVP only further validates the Titans' quarterback plans that Brian Callahan, Mike Borgonzi, and the front office have been talking about for quite some time. So, what notes can the Titans take away from the Super Bowl? How can they apply that to their own organization moving forward with the first overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft? That's what I'm here to break down for all of you today. Before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about Lipscomb because Lipscomb University's Sports Analytics Department is bringing you this video. Lipscomb University, it's where data meets the game. Analyze, strategize, revolutionize, and turn your passion into profession, whether it's sports or really any industry at Lipscomb. You can go beyond the box score, get your game-changing insights and career-defining skills, and learn to make the calls that count. Lipscomb's sport analytics program is taking data-driven decision makers and getting them into the exciting world of professional athletics. So Lipscomb not just watching the game, but changing how it's played. I'm a Lipscomb alumni, and I can personally vouch for what they did for me, allowing me to turn my passion for sports into a job in professional sports. So go check out Lipscomb, especially if you're in the Nashville area. All right, let's talk Jalen Hurts because Hurts, to me, is one of the more fascinating quarterbacks in the NFL, at least for a dialogue perspective. When it comes to a narrative and probably a pretty polarizing figure, I don't know if there is one more controversial than Jalen Hurts. He sort of gets this Brock Purdy treatment, and what we all talked about with Brock Purdy in the few years leading up to his Super Bowl appearance. And what this is two guys who are not exceptional quarterbacks as far as the fundamental tools are concerned. Purdy, the last pick in the NFL draft, Mr. Irrelevant. Jalen Hurts, a day 2 pick. But both of them were inserted into organizations that develop players that had really talented rosters around them with solid head coaches and good play callers, offensive lines that protect them very well, strong running games. Both existed in San Francisco for Purdy's run to the Super Bowl and both times that Jalen Hurts has been to the Super Bowl now. But so often as NFL fans, as media members, we like to look at the quarterback position and we like to point at Patrick Mahomes. We like to say that you need an elite quarterback, a top 3 to 5 quarterback in the league if you want to compete. That's why Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, these are the names that you hear as being contenders to win the Super Bowl. But nobody sits there in the regular season and looks at Jalen Hurts and the Eagles and thinks they have a shot. We all know they're a good football team, but the overall consensus belief is that the quarterback needs to be able to elevate his team in the biggest games of the year. The Eagles just showed us that that is not true because Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 10 thrower of the football, but Hurts has one elite trait that is the one that counts in these playoff games. And it's something Brian Callahan has already talked about the Titans needing to look for. Jalen Hurts is good where it counts, and that's between the ears. He's a quarterback that takes care of the ball. He's elite in the red zone. He is elite with his legs, which helps him be elite in the red zone. And when you get a guy who is all of those things and he's calm, cool, and collected all the time, you allow the offense that you've built around him to function properly without making the big mistake. In Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs were the team making the big mistake, turning the ball over. The Chiefs hit the more explosive plays. The Chiefs played more exciting offense at times when Patrick Mahomes is hitting bombs to Xavier Worthy. But the Eagles were more consistent And they've now showed us that the blueprint for winning does not need to start and end with who's under center. It can be a guy who just lets everybody else play their game and excel. Here's Brian Callahan talking to Easton Freeze of A to Z Sports a few weeks back, and he mentioned nervous system as the number one thing he looks for in a quarterback that turns the good ones into great ones.
It's going to sound a little bit strange, but what's their nervous system like? What is it? What do they look like when things break down? How do they operate when the pocket is muddy? How do they operate under critical duress and critical pressure? Those are the things that I look at. And how does their brain essentially respond? How does their body respond to those stressors when those moments come where you have to throw the football and everyone in the stadium knows you have to throw the football?
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it? Can you make those throws in those big moments? And that's what separates, I think, all the quarterbacks in the league, the great ones from the guys that are just good. And that's what you look for, is how does their nervous system work under pressure, and can they make good decisions? Can they throw on time? And most importantly, are they accurate?
Can they make good decisions? Can they throw on time? What does their nervous system look like? Those are some of the key pillars for Brian Callahan. And now this does not answer the question of what the Titans should do with the first overall pick. That answer is in the evaluation. That is looking at Abdul Carter as an edge rusher, what he can bring to your defense, looking at Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders as quarterback prospects and evaluating them on that scale. This is looking at Travis Hunter and trying to work with your analytics team to figure out exactly what value he's bringing to your football team. But it does show that Brian Callahan's process is correct. A lot of people out there have already been doubting the Titans quarterback search or questioning a player like Shedeur Sanders because they look at Shedeur Sanders and they see somebody who doesn't do much elite. He doesn't throw with the most power. He's not, making these crazy off balance, out of your mind throws. He's not a top toolsy quarterback like you see go first overall frequently. We've built this prototypical quarterback in our eyes because of what we've seen Patrick Mahomes do. And now we think every quarterback needs to look as close to that as possible. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson do. They have that same improvisation ability. They have that same special talent ability. Lamar more with his legs, Josh more with his arm, but both of them can do a little bit of everything. But what we just saw with the Eagles is that you can take a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, who maybe doesn't have the best arm, but he makes good decisions. I think the Shedeur Sanders nervous system checks that box. And if we're going with this draft and develop plan that Mike Borgonzi is trying to put into place, where you're accruing draft capital, where you're trading back as often as possible, where you're building from the trenches when the offensive line already has a foundation of J.C. Latham and Peter Skoronski on the left side, we're going to try and lean on the running game and our defense. Then perhaps Sanders is the guy who is the fit. Because you can win a Super Bowl with that quarterback. They don't need to be jump off the page special. Is it nice? Sure, it's gravy. And some of the things that Cam Ward does are special. But I don't think that's where the evaluation needs to come from. The evaluation needs to come from, will he mess it up in the biggest moments? Will Levis has all that talent, and too frequently, in critical times in the game, he messed it up. So as far as the process, as far as what boxes are looking to be checked, the Titans should take notes from Jalen Hurts, take notes from what the Eagles built around him, and know that they're doing just fine. That's all for me today. Tune in to primetime tomorrow night on Tuesday night here on A to Z Sports, where I will be back talking a little bit more Super Bowl, a little bit more Titans quarterback search. We will check in on some of the veteran quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, who now have some potential landing spots, including Tennessee. Austin Stanley and Easton Freeze tomorrow morning on the A to Z Sports Morning Show. Thank you to my friends at Lipscomb. Please go check them out in the Lipscomb Sport Analytics Department. Until next time, tighten up.